You know, why are we wanting that normal, quote-unquote, existence if it's the real fantasy?
So looking back then, I mean, to your initial stages of your awakening and your dad trying to share this with you, you thought that it was a little bit kooky and maybe there was a little bit of a religious thing because you weren't sure who these other beings were.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, how wouldn't you react if, you know, if one of your parents started saying, you know, I'm talking to people from the stars and they want to talk to you?
Hey, I would love it. But,
well, at my age. At my age, and say the parent also had a stroke as well. You know, how much credibility would you hold to that as well?
Well,
particularly if you're a very insecure little child.
I totally understand. I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes, and I'm sure the listeners, because, well, you know, we've had Dr. Simeon Hine and some other people on here, and well, I'll use him for an example. He's the director of the Institute for Resonance in Boulder, Colorado, MountBaldy.com. And he's, you know, a PhD scientist, and he would hear so-called paranormal things, which, you know, we have established are totally normal, but he thought it was, a little bit hokey. But then after hearing it a couple times, he decided, well, hello, I'm a scientist. I better check this out myself, you know, and I'll prove it's not true. Well, like I said, he is the director of the Institute for Resonance and teaches remote viewing now. He went in thinking, there's no way this isn't real. I can't do it. And so it's just interesting to hear people's, the steps they take, you know, that lead them on the path that they are now. And you do have such an interesting and beautiful path. You know, I think we all probably experienced this, and we talked about it last night, too, the different awakenings that we all go through. And I know it's happened to me, but, you know, when I think I know everything, well, I get hit by a Mack truck. I wake up the next day, and then I find out every single thing I thought I knew was a total lie. And that's happened more than once. So it's not like, you know, you go through it once and, you know, maybe when you were looking at your dad like, this is a little bit weird, and here you are now preaching your message to the world, literally the world. It's just, I think it's kind of beautiful to see changes and dualities like that, how people shift.
Yeah, it is. It's really incredible. Like, so people who make fun of this, or even make fun of me when I talk about it, I can't help but laugh because I made fun of my father for such a long time, and now I've become my father. And so just because people don't understand today does not mean it's going to be the same thing tomorrow. You know, everybody's heading to the same destination. It's like I'm looking at my hand right now, and there's 5 fingers, and each one can represent a different path, but it really doesn't matter which finger you choose. They all lead to the center of the palm.
Yes. Well, we used to think the Earth was flat. Right? So
you know why they thought that? That's kind of an interesting tangent. Do you know why they thought that? Did you see Pirates of the Caribbean 3?
You know, I have to admit, I don't watch a lot of movies. What would I have
That's
learned?
Right, you're very smart in that way. But no, basically they have a part where they go off this big cliff and water, and then they end up on the other side of the planet, upside down. The reason people thought that is because the North and South Pole are the major entrances into the hollow Earth.
Wow.
I think it's about 1,600 miles radius wide, and that's why people can't fly over it. It's heavily guarded by the military and whatnot. That's another topic, though. But that's why they thought that, because they actually were going down and flipping under.
Amazing. Yeah, that does sound like a whole nother show or two. Entirely. Okay, so here we are down your path. You're in your late teens now.
Uh-huh.
And you finally decided, okay, Dad, I'll go talk to one of the guys in your head.
Well, no, I had to have something really come and trigger me. So people that were handing out this stuff to me, I decided to ask one of them, why are you giving this to me? Why? And they're like, I don't know. Well, how can you not know unless you're being inspired? Okay, that was one thing. And then I still ignored it. I still refused to look at it. And then while I was working on set, a guy came up to me, never seen in my entire life, and he asked me, he's like, excuse me, but is your name Jessica? I'm like, yes. He says, your last name's Schaub? Yeah. And is your parents' name Rosanna Terry? Okay, these are for you. And I get all these tapes on the exact same things my dad was trying to tell me. And so it was just like, okay, that's it. And I completely surrendered. And I watched them, and it just felt like, everything you ever thought you knew about yourself and the world just dies in that moment. And you just have this major existential breakdown. And
isn't it amazing how life works, though? You know, when the student is ready, the teacher will come, and, you know, whether you were working on set or, I don't know.
No matter where you go, there's nowhere you can go. You cannot deny who you are in your work. It's time to return back into yourself. And, you know, the thing that's really neat is there's this old Buddhist teaching of this master and student, and the student's like, oh, I want to know all about enlightenment. Teach me about enlightenment. And so the master says, would you like some tea? And he's like, yeah. And he pours and pours and pours until it overflows the cup. And the student's like, what did you do that for? And the master's like, how can I teach you anything if your cup is still so full? He goes, I need you to empty the glass. Empty your mind before, because the student was like, I know this, I know that, you know, every time he was trying to teach him something. And so that's the same with our universal guides as well. So we need to have that existential breakdown. We need to surrender everything. And that's the beauty of living as a child as well, you know. Every day is like they're exploring the world anew, you know, and that's what life is about. Constant everyday magic and kaleidoscopic eyes, changing your perspective.
It is. It really. And, I mean, isn't that the ultimate, living life through the eyes of a child? And just, I'm amazed at the wonderment every day. I don't know. The universe is so amazing. What can I say? I'm just mind-boggling, really. I don't think we could even begin to grasp, you know, 0.1% of all there really is to know and understand.
But we're embarking on a journey to get there, though, at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, Jessica, it's not. I think what people do is they try to pigeonhole truth and lock it, and this is what it is, and that needs to stay put. And I see everything as stepping stones to an end, or even just a greater truth. Actually, not even an end, because it's all infinite.
That thought, will you please? We're rolling to break, but we will be right back with Jessica Mystic on Truth Brigade Radio. Jessica, before the break, we were kind of talking about your transition phase, and I just think it's so cute. I'm sitting here trying to imagine, you know, your dad trying to lead you on and open up your eyes to something that, you know, we don't think about it because we can't see it. It's not right here in front of our face, or what we've been conditioned to see, think, feel, and believe anyways. But what was it that finally got you to say, okay, or, you know, to yourself, all right, maybe he's not crazy, let's go check it out?
I think it was when I started to just see what he was saying and what these messages that they tried so hard to get through to me were saying. And when you can see it so clear, you just can't deny it anymore. You know, you just can't be an ostrich. And so when I started to talk about this, I found it really funny. I find it funny that I get ostracized by the very people who suffer from a bad case of ostrich mentality. That's what I'd always say.
Uh-huh.
But, it just was, when you start to see it, you just can't deny it. You just can't, you know. To deny it allows it to continue forward.
Amazing. How long do you think that transition process was from where you were absolute no to an absolute yes?
Oh, wow. That's really hard to say because it wasn't an absolute. It was gradual. It was constant surrender because there's many levels to us. You know, because I still was mad at my dad after I started to understand all this because I felt that, you know, he kind of confiscated our life. If it weren't for all this, then we could still have a normal life. So it was always kind of to battle and deal with things like that. But even when my father passed away, just his legacy and his insight was almost like passed down to me, and what he had, I suddenly had as well. And it was just incredible.
So your father still visits you?
Yes, he does.
Okay.
How that works is he's also crossed over, but I'm very aware of dream realms and how they work. And I actually, once you understand how they work, you don't really need to dream anymore.